Hello everybody, welcome to episode 1 of my GTX 980 Ti Mini-ITX PC build. If you missed episode 0, don't worry about it too much. It's really just me explaining why the hell I'm doing this to begin with, and I kind of introduced the parts that had came in at that point. If you did watch that, there is going to be a slight change in plans with some of the parts list, but at the end of the day, it's still going to be pretty much the same computer, albeit just a little bit more powerful in some areas. And it's mainly just for convenience on my part. But like I said, I'll introduce them as I get to it. And so let's just hop right in. So let me go ahead and start off by saying I apologize for the garbage technical production of this video. All I have is a cell phone camera on the end of a cantilever beam. At least my, here I'll show it to you. At least my engineering practice has paid off. Got it on the top of my shelf here, balanced by some boxes and stuff, but it's working out, so that's what we're going to go with. I don't have an official camera. Also using the built-in microphone because I kind of try to bring over my normal mic and everything to this location, but it got in my way and I couldn't make it to where it wouldn't get in my way really bad. So sorry you'll have to deal with this audio. Hopefully it won't interfere with anything. So starting here with the Thermaltake Core V1 Cube. Explained it last time. Why I chose this particular Mini-ITX case. Got a little scratch there. I hope that doesn't come through on the glass. That's a huge deal. So we're going to start off by basically prepping this case. Pretty much everything comes off on this case, and unfortunately, probably this view you won't get to see everything. You know what? I'll do it this angle. No big deal. There's thumb screws that are pretty much attached to everything on this case. Top windows, the side panels, all that good stuff. So you can already see into it. I also hope the lighting is as good as it's going to get. I can kind of adjust. That seems a little bit better. Let's see. Yeah, it's basically two like incandescent bulbs that are doing that. So apologies is the best I can do for this no budget setup here. We're also going to take off these side panels. They provide adequate ventilation. The graphics card will be here, so that'll be all intake. That's one reason I really love this design. It's a lot of good juicy airflow from the front as well with that huge, I think, 240mm fan. I don't have my anti-static wrist strap on yet. That will be put on when I start handling important electronic components though, so just keep that in mind. I do have one, just I haven't started yet, so I can scoop this laptop back a little better. There we go. Don't want it to fall off. It's expensive. Now this thing you can also take off the bottom, and it does have a built-in nice little PSU cover, the filter for the intake fan. I don't know that we'll need to take that off, so I'm just going to leave it on for the time being, and we will take off the side. Did I forget one? Yeah, I forgot one. It would help if you get all the thumb screws first. Oh no, I didn't. That was the bottom of the PSU. I'm a dumb. So we'll set those aside for now, and basically we have a more or less empty chassis besides this thing. And like I said, if this becomes a nuisance, I will take it off. So first things first is we're going to get that power supply over here, and we will put it in and prep that up. So I have here the EVGA. It's a 650 gold power supply. It's completely modular, and it would help if I'm on the right side, but I wanted to show you guys the logo first. So I chose this particular power supply, like I said last time, because I have a 750, my full tower, and I really liked it. And I got Grey Goo for free, and I've actually been quite enjoying that game. Dark Souls 3 has been taking over my life, but I look forward to getting back to that. Now, I did some pre-sorting off camera, and is there anything in here I need? I don't think I need any jumper pins on this. So this is the only cables I'll actually need. I've already pre-sorted them based on what I have, so save some time on camera. And we're going to pull this thing out. I like to do the power supply first in the case before I do anything else for a couple reasons. One of which is to prep all the cable layout before I put the motherboard in, and I think that's especially going to be important on this Mini-ITX case. Not that I've done one before, but I just have a feeling. And it gives me something to ground to as well, which is also extremely important. So this will allow me to put my anti-static wrist strap attached to this thing, or the bare metal on the chassis, because it's all going to be connected when you screw it in. And that will give me something solid to ground in. Basically what you do is you, if I can get this damn thing open and try not to completely destroy the packaging in case something's wrong, because this will be the first time I've tested any of these components. So, but basically the theory is you plug this in, this will be, you know, plugged into an outlet, but this will be turned off. So theoretically you still have a ground, but there's no way any electricity should be able to come back on you. So that's mainly the theory. As you can see, this is completely modular. We'll be facing like so this top because this allows for intake from here. And like I said, I don't know 100% how we're going to get this thing in. You might have to take the hard drive cages out, but for now I'm going to start getting everything laid out. So it appears there is absolutely no other way to put this thing on besides taking the bottom off, which I suppose makes sense. I was just thinking perhaps you could cram it in there. I'm also going to take this hard drive cage off. I don't like this design very much. It's kind of cheap, but you know, I guess that cut down on the cost, and once I do it once, I shouldn't be taking it out anyway, so not a huge deal, but still, it's like, come on guys, starting to run out of room to put shit already. All right, so basically we've got this thing upside down. This will mount like so, with the fan facing down. That way we got some clean intake from the bottom, and you will see there's some nice little screw hole placements like so, here, 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 here. And let me just find the bag that has all the screws that came with it. Like most power supplies, comes with a little baggie. This is the one I don't really need. It's a jumper and come with these nice little screws. And I do have a screwdriver on hand. As a matter of fact, I have a drawer full of shit right here to my left. And voila, and we'll just screw that bad boy in. I don't think that doesn't come off. I don't think there's any other protective covers or anything that needs to come off here, so we'll just start by screwing it in. Now the good guys over at Thermaltake, guys and gals, designed this case in such a way that you can install it upside down and it's perfectly level with the screw holes, so you just rest on top of there. So props for that. I gotta say, quite a convenient thing. I think this case screams convenience, especially considering it's a Mini-ITX and just how easy it is to build in and all of its features and stuff. That's why I chose it. It would help if you're in the right screw hole, dipshit. This could be a case of being actually easier to install the cables before you do this, but I should have plenty of room. God damn it. Should have plenty of room right there, so I'm not too concerned about it. Okay, that should be all the screws installed. Both of the case and the power supply actually have multiple screw install points. I'm trying to put as many as I can inside these little holes, but that one just didn't want to go, and you know, it's not going to be doing the majority of the work to keep it in place anyway, so I'm not particularly concerned about it. So it should be rock solid. It does appear to be. Feels good to me. Okay, so the next thing is we're going to install all these cables. So first of all, every one of these builds, no matter what, if you have a semi-modern motherboard, you're going to be using one of these. It's a 24-pin ATX motherboard connector. Pretty standard if you're not using something like a server board or, I don't know, a Raspberry Pi or something. I've never handled a motherboard in the past, I don't know, 10 years, ever since I even dicked around with computers in the least bit that didn't have something like this if it was made in, you know, somewhat recent times. Next thing, I'll wrap my second bundle. These straps are great, by the way. I'm pretty sure like every modular PSU manufacturer includes something like this, but I prefer these over zip ties whenever I can get my hands on them. Second thing is CPU. Now the motherboard I will be using will actually only need a 4-pin, but luckily this thing splits into 4 and 8, and I think you have to plug in just both sides to be safe. So let's locate the entry for that. Okay, well that's in. Pro tip, take out both the hard drive cages. It makes for access being a lot easier. The next two things we need are 2 VGA cables. So our GTX 980 Ti will use one full 8-pin connector and then one 6-pin, and luckily these come in 6+2, so that shouldn't be a big deal. Okay, that's in. I don't think it's fully in though. I can check it when I flip it back over, so no big deal. And then we have the SATA connector, which will be usually driving one device, just the hard drive, but installing it will need to drive 2, because I'm going to do this via disk. So we'll plug that in, and just like so. Everything feels pretty snug to me. Let me get this Medusa cable bundle out of the way here. First thing first, I want to put back on the bottom. You know, perhaps this would have been easier if I'd pre-installed the cables, but it wasn't bad either way. So you'd either be dealing with you know, a freaking rat's nest that early on, or you know, avoid it till now. So kind of a wash in my opinion. All right, oh, look at that, you can see the logo and everything. How pretty. So now we got freaking snake nest pile right here. Try to get it as organized as possible, which I'm sure is not going to be the easiest feat, but the rest of these cables coming from the case, we're also going to just put those to the side, and I'm going to pretty much put off legitimate cable management until like the very end, because there's really no need in it. I don't know how these are going to route. I've never really done a Mini-ITX, so I'm not even, sure the correct methodology. Also, I found out that you will see very soon is that my motherboard is not compatible with this USB 3.0 header. It's so old that that wasn't a feature. So I had to buy a 2.0 to 3.0 converter, as you can see right here. So good old Silverstone making $10 attachments to save my ass. So meaning these 3.0 ports up front will not be giving me the full speed, but I don't really care because the only thing I ever use up front is like headphones or maybe a controller. So nothing that warrants a 3.0 speed. Anything that does will be back here. All right, so we're here on a new day. The particularly attentive of you could probably tell I'm wearing different pants. So this is the next day from when I did the previous assembly. We have our motherboard, our CPU cooler, the RAM that is still in my other PC. If you watched the episode 0, you'll know why. And here we have a new challenger. So I'll go ahead and open it up for you guys. I previously said that just like the RAM and video card for my full tower, we would be reusing my CPU. But I happen to have here an i7-3770S, which is actually a bit newer than my i7-2600K that is in my full tower. The advantage to this is not only is this a bit newer architecture and it still fits on the same motherboard, still socket LGA 1155. The great thing about this is it does turbo boost 100 megahertz faster. The caveat is that S, and basically all that means that it has a lower TDP and that it stays at 3.1 gigahertz for the majority of the time when you don't need it to turbo boost, whereas my 2600K would probably be around 3.4 most of the time. So this will actually be a little bit more power efficient, but it still has the juice to go up to 3.9 when I need it to. So I'm expecting pretty much about the same performance. And why did I buy this instead of ripping it out? Well, a couple reasons. One was this was super cheap. I got it for like less than $150. And number two is that I don't have to fuck with that CPU cooler that's in my full tower, because if I did that, I'd have to take it out completely, put it in the box, because I just don't like it hanging there, that sort of thing. So that's why we're using that. I am grounded with my anti-static wrist strap. Try to put it around my leg, but it's a little too small for that. So it's going to be a little bit in the way, but not too bad. So we'll start off by assembling the motherboard here. We have our Mini-ITX Asus P8H61-I. And this is, like I said, it's pretty much bare minimum with features, but it still has a pretty good amount of ports on the back, which is pretty preferable. And of course, it will be facing like this. I've heard a lot of different things about what you're supposed to do with setting motherboards down. I am standing on carpet, which is not ideal, but our entire house is carpet besides like the kitchen, so I pretty much have no choice. Go ahead and pop that bad boy off. See that? And sitting on the outside of the bag is supposedly like not the greatest, because this is supposed to be like a what do they call it? A Gauss shield, and there's another word for it. Some other famous electric dude. So it might be conductive on the outside while it's not on the inside. I can't remember exactly, but plenty of people do it this way. I've always done it this way. I've not had trouble out of it, and if I do this time, well, that's just my shitty luck. I doubt that has much to do with this handling. So I'm going to open up this CPU. Look at that. This will be the first Intel CPU this generation that I've socketed, actually, because the other one came used, and you probably can't even see the letter, but it does indeed say i7-3770S. You could tell this has been used. There's even a bit of old thermal paste on here, so I think I'm going to clean it off a little bit after I put it in here. I guarantee you this was ripped from some old office computer or something, but I don't care. If it works, it lasts me as long as I need it to. That's all I'm asking. Fits like a champ. The only other thing I could think of that may cause problems with this build is that let's see what you're supposed to do once it's in. There we go. I was wondering why it wasn't in. Is that some BIOSes apparently may require an update to use these newer CPUs, which, if that's the case, not a huge deal. But we'll go with that for the time being. Okay, I was able to get a little bit more of the excess off. It's not going to be in the way. I'm not particularly worry about that little bitty spot, so we'll just keep rolling with it. So the next part is the CPU cooler, which I am particularly in love with. Very low profile. It's going to work out great, I think. The TDP should be overkill for what this is, especially since we're going to have that 200 mil fan blowing across the top as well. So this will be going out. You're going to have cross streams. I think it's going to work out fine. Let's see. We got the fan here. I'm just trying to position this in the most efficient way possible. Just trying to get everything planned out before I actually do it. So that would cover the RAM slots, obviously. So pretty much, I think we need this direction. We'll place it down. As you can see, this thing covers pretty much the whole damn motherboard. And, you know, this is very compact for its size, but it's still, you know, large compared to this. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is just to check my clearances. Like, I can get RAM in and out just fine in this configuration. But what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to grab a spare graphics card I actually have sitting around and put it in this slot, or simulate me doing so, and make sure that we're lined up correctly before I put anything in permanently. Because the last thing I want to do is screw that in and then realize, oh shit, I can't fit my 980 Ti. Let me go ahead and get the rest of the hardware out here and confirm that it does line up the way I think it does. So just like most Intel CPU type coolers, you got usually like a crossbar like this. As you can see, it is compatible with all the LGAs. You might be able to read it there. 1366, 1156, 1155, 755. So pretty much anything ending in 50 or even before that does work. So that's good. And then we have all the rest of the mounting hardware, and we will read instructions to make sure that we do it correctly. Okay, so the gist of this is that you got all of these, and I'm trying to figure out which one's 55. 1, 2, all right, 2 is 1155, so these should go like here. And apparently they sit in just like so with hexagon. Okay, so basically you got to line all these up, and this will be put on the back of the motherboard. Now, I don't know exactly how much of all this, you know, random bullshit that I'm talking about that I'm going to be cutting, but I'm trying to keep this to where, like, you could follow along and pretty much build the exact same thing if I'm, you know, if I were to do it. Of course, without the professional lighting and all that, I don't know how possible that's going to be, but, you know, it'll be something, hopefully. And unfortunately, not only do I not have, you know, the cash to make a different build every month, but or even yearly at that rate, but don't have the equipment to, you know, show it off very well either. That was a little tight, but we got it through. Okay, so then we put this on the back, and let me see what orientation. Alright, that should be nice and flush. It's in there. Now, I believe we put some cross braces in. Stud and strip adapters. I'm hoping they're calling these strips and not meaning stripping screws or anything. That gives me a little bit of worry. I think we just slide these things over. Little bearings. I wonder what factor of safety these are designed to. Probably not high enough, consider their material. So they're making it very important, the spacing. It has to be faced inwards like this. So I assume you match the same pattern. I don't think it's actually going to matter for this LGA socket type because they're it's dead in the middle, but make sure. And then we got some screws for this. So basically you've got this big ass mount. And then, what about, I guess that's just one crossbar here. This is very strange. I've never done a low profile cooler before, so, you know, this is news to me. I didn't know, I don't know if this is like a standard mounting procedure for shit that's this big. And you know what, I'm not even 100% certain that with this way that I have it, that I'll be able to move it in any other orientation. Like, it could very well be stuck. Yeah, so with this orientation, it has to go, basically I'm looking at this, and it has a little slot. I don't know if you can see that. This has a little slot on the top. You can kind of barely see it, so it's going to be either positioned this way or this way. I have no choice in the matter. But I'm assuming with this way, the heat pipes will be right resting next to the GPU. So we'll put it on loosely, but not applying any thermal paste yet, and then we'll get the card out and make sure it does fit. So I think we need to tighten these down. I'm going to do hand tighten it first, and then we'll come back with a screwdriver and give it a loving nudge. Nothing too bad. If you do have an AMD CPU, this cooler does work as well. It gets some additional AMD hardware, so that's good. I have a feeling with Zen, I don't know for a fact, but something tells me that the way AMD's been progressing, and if Zen is does live up to the hype, they'll be going over to a more LGA type socket, if not a completely LGA type socket. So that would be nice to have some homogenization between. It would be fucking awesome if you can use AMD CPUs and into, like, you know, there's no longer a division of boards, just like, you know, there's no longer a division of like PCI standards or anything. I don't really understand why that was, if that's just like Intel being a dick like usual or what. But okay, those seem pretty tight, not you know, soul crushing, but pretty good. I should probably just leave that fucking screwdriver out, but it's so close anyway. I don't really care. Fix whatever the fuck mounting plate. What is... Oh, interesting. The only way you can get there is by taking the fan off. Okay. That's one way of doing it. You know, the 140 mil Fantex fan that I have in my full tower is pretty damn quiet. Hell, both of the fans, even the 200 millimeters, like, the only thing I can hear is my graphics card, if, you know, just a slight breeze under that. So I'm expecting this cooler to be pretty quiet as well. But then I have a feeling that it's not going to matter with the graphics card because, you know, reference cooler and all that. So I'm not going for quiet. I'm just going for power on this. I'll deal with any other problems with noise later on. So we're going to keep that on. And that is approximately where it's going to be. I'm going to go ahead and throw this on as well and give it a light. Obviously, this isn't done. There's no, don't do this. This is not permanent. I just want everyone to know I'm very well aware of this. It comes with its own thermal paste, and if I'd have known that, I'd bought aftermarket, because sometimes the thermal paste thing, you know, CPU coolers include are not great. I thought it was going to have a pre-applied thing, and I was like, yeah, I'll just stick with that, but it does not. Big deal. This is super trippy trying to line that up. But yeah, the always remember to take that off is what I was getting at. And almost like, oh, I have it on backwards. That would explain why. A bit concerning to me. Oh, these go through it. Okay, I see now. I see. Rather than come up through the, yeah, I got you. It's to become more flush. These aren't magnetic, which is unfortunate. All right, that's pretty much lined up. So let me grab my graphics card and we'll put it in the position. Make sure it's okay. Okay, so this is a reference GTX 970, the Best Buy exclusive. Yeah, fucking hit the cooler on there, dipshit. If you're wondering why I still have this, is because Ashton and I are going to do a little bit of a swap type thing later on when he gets rid of his current card. Don't worry about it for now, but for now, just I do have this as a backup just so I don't have to take out my other one. So let's just see how it's going to fit. Yeah, so those heat pipes are going to be like right on top of it. But the 980 Ti doesn't have a back plate, which is kind of unfortunate. That was one thing I didn't like, but I've gotten used to it, so I don't really care. So it will fit just fine. That's what I needed to know. All right, so what that means, we can go ahead with thermal paste application and all that bullshit. I'm trying not to touch the metal as much as possible. That way I don't have to worry about that. So I don't know if this is one of the kind that you have to cut. No, it's actually got the little screw. So a little plunger. The tried and true method is just to pee in the middle, you know, do a little scrapey. So that's what we're going to do. It should spread out fine. Let's see. This is like clear. I don't really like that very much. So that's probably a bit much. That's way too much. I can already tell you that. I don't know if I have anything to clean that off of. It's really throwaway-able. Let me see. I got this microfiber cloth that I can wipe it off. So the deal is, don't clean up with paper towels, because that can leave by, you know, little traces of paper particles, which is not good, because that's could possibly be conductive and all that shit. But or, you know, get in somewhere and it's just bad. And as my hair's fucking flowing and talking about shit getting and stuff, get that out. The good news with thermal paste is that, you know, a lot of people will criticize others online, saying, you know, you put it way too much or way too little, yada yada. And at the end of the day, as long as you just put something on, it's going to do its job. maybe, you know, 10 years down the road, if it's not a great application, you'll know about it, but otherwise it will work. Linus Tech Tips did a pretty good video on that. I'm going to count for, there we go, that's what I wanted for the overage. You know, because there was like, as long as you're not going out into the outer edges of the damn, yeah, that's about what I wanted of the socket, then, you know, you're okay. So we'll go ahead and take this off. Push down firm and even pressure. Yeah, I can feel it in my hands. I got a good even squeeze. It'll do the job. Now getting these little sons of bitches in might be problematic. I don't know if I have a magnetic screwdriver in here. I know this one's magnetic, so that just means that these are made out of something non-ferrous. Probably some type of aluminum alloy or something, I don't know. But I do have pliers, so that's what matters. I'll drop that. Yeah, don't want to do that. Get it seated. Get one started, and then we can. There we go. Put the other one in. And thermal paste is just, you know, simply to make that contact between the two metals as free of air as possible. Fuck. So it's not like a huge deal as long as you do a, you know, put something there and you don't fuck it up completely. And I realize this is like our tech support gore material right here. I kind of want to just tip it over and get it out. This always happens. Like, see, it's slightly magnetized. Okay, drop it in. We're good to go now. Let's get her straightened up. I think we're pretty well straight. Yeah, as you can see, tall heat sinks are not going to play very nice with this, but I think both, no matter which set of the two sets of RAM I'll end up using, they're going to clear that. No Corsair Dominators or anything like that, though. That is for absolute certain. Let's see, kind of pressure we have here. I'm going to take it to the bottom, is what I assume you're supposed to do. They probably have this designed to where you can't fuck this up. It's certainly looking like that. Yeah, that's literally, it won't let you go any farther than that. The other ones are on rock solid. As far as I'm concerned, that is it. So we'll put this fan on. Fan headers are up here. So, kind of wondering what kind of room I'll have. I think the best option is just drop down immediately. So we'll put it in this orientation. Okay, fan is on there nice and dandy. And like I said, I'll just I'll route this somewhere underneath to keep it out of the way when I do install the fan. So it'll be something like that. Not a big deal. Just keep it out of the way. And for testing purposes, I haven't 100% made a decision what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to still use my 16 gig kit. So let's just grab one of the 6 RAM out of my full tower and we'll see how it plays with this.